we are surrounded by so many opportunities. We are surrounded by so many informations.
Welcome to Rising Giant, Sivhuang Lay. You are the managing director of Dichi Academy. Also, you were previously the country head of Food Panda. So, welcome to Rising Giants. It's great to have you on the podcast today. We generally just start things off by talking a little bit about your early journey that kind of set the foundation for what you're doing today. So, if you could maybe just paint a picture of like your let's say first 25 years or so, and what were some of those big experiences that had an impact on you along the way?
Good morning. Yes, this is Sivhuang. Um, I okay. If we were to talk about the past experience that impacted me, I think there's two things that I would say. First is the opportunities to expose to different educational systems in Cambodia, in China, in Europe, and that really transformed the way I think, the way I approach the different things. And the second thing is also a diverse working experience in the different industries, and that include banking, anti-counterfeiting, logistics, community currency, which is financial technology, and right now in edtech, which is educational technology. So I think it's more of, to me, I think it's more of all this different diverse background experience and places that made me who I am today and impacted the way I do things today. Yeah.
Okay. And what would you say was your reason, or like what was the spark for wanting to kind of focus more on like being in, let's say, the innovation side of the economy, and sort of your first experiences, like quote unquote, at working with startups, whether that be Bong Loi, Food Panda, or Dichi today?
Um, Starting from myself personally, I don't like to do repetitive things.
Mm,
So I always very curious, wanting to explore uh, what's out there, what's new, what can be done better, or even its existing problem, right? How
mm,
can you approach it differently so you can create a better result? So I think that's how I myself define innovations.
mm,
Either it's radical innovations or marginal innovations. As long as you have different ways of solving things that is innovative, and I think in a startup community in technology, and even in what our countries right now is pushing toward the digital economy, innovation is one important element
mm.
that nobody can really avoid if you want to develop and approach and push ourselves toward that route, because digital economy, what it means by digital is already something new and something innovative. So in how you work and how you do business, you have to adapt yourself into that new format and a new environment, a new platform, so that you can grow.
And so, what was it like making that transition back? You said your experiences in China, in Spain. What was it like then making that transition from that work environment and those kinds of, let's say, economies or innovation spaces, and then coming back to Cambodia and seeing how you could apply that?
All right, so give me a bit of a context.
Mm,
I think I was lucky when I was studying and working in China. It is where really Alibaba, Taobao, and all
mm,
those e-commerce was like started to boom.
mm,
So that I would say one of the Cambodian who got a first-hand
mm,
experience, the new customers' behavior
mm,
that is affected by all of those innovations, and it leave me a very I would say at the beginning a very lost kind of um, 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 thinking to what's happening there because you for so many years, so 10, 20 years, you used to go to the shop to buy things and suddenly right there it's just so convenient that you can just by at that time e-commerce was so new, so it was really a new way of me buying things. And it is so convenient, and at the same time it connects so many opportunities of varieties of products that you can see in 1 minute by not just going to different physical stores. And that hit me to another way of thinking. If this is what humans can always develop to change and to improve the customer's behavior and customers' interest, and also giving back the benefit to all the merchants, to all the sellers, to connect directly between these buyers and the sellers. How can all of this, if not happening just in China, but also is happening in the rest of the world, especially in developing countries here, where we still have a lot of, like physical barriers, like logistic barriers. So if so, that's really like my initial thought of how can I, when I experience it myself, and I see the value of it, how can I bring it back, or the kind of technology or the knowledge or the perceptions of that into my own country. Um, and that was China when it's more on the e-commerce side, and then when I was in Spain, it's really more on um, because I was consulting a co-working space where they need a community currencies to better manage the operation of the space because it's free. The co-working space is free. It's a government initiative in Barcelona in order to encourage entrepreneurships. And that is why they provide all of this spaces, facility for people who have ideas to come and take the benefit out of this so that they can focus on their innovations. But then because it's free, it's hard to manage who is using it and how can it be productively return back to the community, where at that time it's the manual timesheet record. For example, if I was doing some technology related to bike fixing or maintaining solutions, but then in the community what I have to give back is, if the community is having some bike problem, I can go and fix it for free. If I go fix it for 1 hour, I can use it. I can use the co-working space for 1 hour. But sometimes it's just hard to quantify the time itself and the effort that you do it. And that is why community currency is introduced to quantify all of these efforts. And it's a new way to me, another, I would say another kind of like, oh, people can do it like that. And that is how I started to be interested in financial technology. And that is how I also started to engage when I come back with the banks, with like the Visa, all of these acquirer issuers, and then after that with Sivhuang Lay, where they're also focusing on the financial technology side. Yeah, it's a bit here and there, but all in all, I think it's just when yourself got to expose and experience something new, and you actually got impacted by it, so you are inspired to also create something meaningful and valuable back to your country while you see all of this is happening.
Yeah, I feel like some of those themes that you just mentioned there, like it's like you were mentioning like financial technology, e-commerce, logistics. I think those are like some of the three categories that you see people really focusing on in those early days, and it's interesting how you've had experience in most of those already. So what was it like joining Bong Loi, focusing on this kind of, let's say, payments evolution in Cambodia, and how did that then lead you into then moving over to Food Panda?
I can take 2 years to answer that. um, okay, keep it short. I think Banglo is the first tech startup in Cambodia that I engage in, and that is before like KXUR, before like ABA and all of those was really transforming the financial landscape in Cambodia. So the very like there's so many experience, but one of the things that I think I've learned a lot from there is financial technology. Beside just the technology itself, you really need to have a very strong support and alignment with the governors because you are actually very regulated by the different policies, and that is actually giving me opportunities to start working with the different stakeholders. So you said you are a tech startup. I mean, everybody is a tech startup while doing technology innovations. But what is more important to drive it is actually your partnership, your collaborations, your connections with the different stakeholders in that industry. That includes not just your users, but like in financial industry, you have the cards, international cards players like Visa, Union Pay, Mastercard. You have to also integrate your solutions with them so that it can be scalable. You have to also work with the governors from the operation side, compliance side. So the ecosystems, the community and different stakeholder management and engagement is actually where I see is one important elements that really push Banglo's development because your technology and your function is developing, but it has to go along the way with what the ecosystem and what the government is also aligned with. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's clear enough.
No, that is clear. Yeah, I think the payment space has gone through a lot of a lot of disintermediation, right? There's a lot of things that happen, and as you say, like ABA has really, made a huge push in that area. So maybe just taking that next step on your journey, this is you then joined Food Panda like right as COVID was starting, and that I feel like that was a really interesting time here because the Q-commerce space really just exploded. Obviously, because people couldn't like go out as much. But so, what was it like being there and witnessing that? I presume like pretty phenomenal growth in the business, and how were you able to kind of manage that?
Okay, if I would say the very direct linkage from Bangladesh to Food Panda is still technology management. How you really use the systems to manage to give your users a better experience to solve their pain point and their problems, and that mindset is linked, that and then how we manage it is also linked, because even it's a different industry in financials and in food or logistics. Really when you do it big, you still have so many stakeholders like mentioned earlier, right? So in finance you have a set of stakeholders. In logistics you have an even broader set of stakeholders that includes the your clients, like people who actually buy order on your platform and eats, the merchants, the vendors, people who's actually on your platform to sell, riders, your driving partners, like okay, those are the people that really on the road, on the ground to deliver stuff from your vendors to your customers. And then you have all of customer service. Customer service, the one who go like at the back office, but they have to. It's another group of people that have to handling the different operational issues, answering questions, and that one of the biggest things I think that make our COVID operations very successful is also the collaboration with the government, where when I remember there was a red zone, there was white zone, and all of these zones, and then there's different like immediate policy that are rolling out for the riders to be able to get the pass, so that you can enter this zone or their zone. But in reality, in practice, the police there may have already a different reactions, or knowing a different, the information is not that finely flow when it's emergency. So some area doesn't even know that, okay, this pass allowed the riders to go in. So what we have to really work with the government is to really align from the management to the police on the ground. How can we have all of this understanding that when one rider have what kind of pass so that they can go into what kind of area. And I think that takes also my experience when I was in the financial industry, how we can, like work and serve and align with the government to together solve one problem to be applied here when COVID happened, how logistics can actually also help what is happening together, it hand in hand with the what the government is trying to achieve and support the citizens when crisis happen. So if you were to ask me what is the direct learning points from this two, I think it's stakeholder management. Yep.
Yeah, I feel like stakeholder management is one of those it's one of those skills that you can you really perfect, or at least get good at, by the more that you do it and at the speed at which you do it. And I feel like during that time when you were having to deal with so many regulation changes and so much back and forth and things along these lines, you were having to probably adapt very quickly and adjust as needed. So I'm sure you're able to come across any challenge now with a little bit more like grace and ease too.
Hopefully.
For hopefully, I'm sure. And so, kind of coming to the end of your time with Food Panda and going over to Dichi as the managing director there, how was that transition like, and what decided to what was that helped you decide to make that transition?
Yeah, it's a $1 million questions from myself. I think two things. One is really with all this accumulative experience, working in the corporate world, not even tech startups that is in Cambodia or outside of Cambodia. Like linking back to what I said earlier, you experience something's cool. You want to create it. You want to also bring that impact back to your community. So, but with all of this dreams and all this experience, I find a huge gap there. Like we have a lot of great ideas, but we're lacking a lot of soldiers to make it happen. And by soldiers here in the tech industry, in startups, is all the great developers that actually code it out, create a system, create the app that we dreams of, that have those cool functions. And the gap there is really talent, like I call themselves tech talents that can be the soldiers to create that. So that's how I see, like I started to have this little and it started to grow bigger from time to time, that if we really want to do something, we have to build tech talents. So that's how it started. But then, of course, if you want to build something, it's not easy. So I think with my passion in education, even before I started Dichi Academy, I've been the mentors, the judges, I was a university lecturers. So I've been in education in different forms and format. But like like I haven't found the right, like the right time, to transitions myself yet. With the condition, I knew that if you want to do something yourself, it takes a lot of resources, both financial resources, human resources, and even opportunity cost. So I think when I was at Food Panda, and when Food Panda was right now is growing stably in the market already, like we already mature. So I think for me, as someone who still want to explore something new to myself, saying there might not, like I have done a lot there already, a lot of new initiative implemented. So probably when things stable already, maybe this is time. So I was asking myself, maybe this is time. While something is already stabilized, I can move on to create something new. And that is coincidentally, luckily, during a trip to the US, I met with our current partner in the Silicon Valley, where they have this learning platform that is embedded with different, like curriculum in the major demanding field in tech, like software development, full stack development, data science, machine learning, and they do it in a very cool format that the students can even self-check their code if it's right or wrong during the different exercise and project that they are on the platform. So that I think something is started to move in together with the right opportunities that I got to meet our partner there. So yes, that's boom. They're like, okay, let's do something. Let's create a pool of tech talents that can really push the developments of the tech um, 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 innovations in our country. Yep.
Yeah, and you know what I find so fascinating about your entire journey is your time that you spent in China and Barcelona, and coming to this realization of when you come back, you see that there is a bit of this gap, and wanting to put yourself on the forefront of working with, with the technology startup, and then following that, working at Food Panda and in that scope, and then now kind of transitioning to being able to help build that foundation for tech talent within Cambodia. So that entire trajectory and journey, it's very fascinating. And yeah. And so if you could share a little bit of background about Dichi Academy, maybe kind of for the audience, just to get acquainted with what it is that Dichi does and what are some of the offerings.
Yeah. I would say we are still quite young in Cambodian market, but we're growing quite fast. And really our core advantage or our core service right now is getting our tech talents employment ready, or like career ready, industry ready in the market. That means we have the curriculum that is focusing on different module. So if you are career changers who want to explore and started to learn how to code, you can take this fast track program, 1 to 2 years, and then you can be a junior developer. But if you are a university student, recent graduate in IT, computer science, but there's a lot of these students coming to ask us like, we graduate, but still hard to know how to work. I actually develop something. So I think that that part is where Dichi Academy wanna focus is on. Like you have the foundations, you have the knowledge in computer science already, but how does this knowledge can be applied into problem solving to create an app solution systems that employment ready. By employment ready, it doesn't mean that you have to be employed by a certain company. It means you can actually go out and work or become an entrepreneur yourself. But I just use this to cover the skill set that they can actually work on something practically. So that is where Dichi is focusing on to offer that skills ready for people to start develop something, and that it include a lot of programs that besides just the curriculum, the topic that we need to additionally teach the students. It's also more on the different internships projects that they've got, so that our students can practice really doing this project-based learning, doing this learning by doings part, so they can be acquire all of their working skills, especially what make a good developers or developers is actually how they can manage their project. It's actually how can they communicate and work with their team members, working with the business departments. And this is something that they need to work on itself, whereas for us, we provide different opportunity for them to work on and learn from it. So that's really our core value. So we're focusing on develop employment ready technology talent in Cambodia, and this offering right now we have public classes, we have full stack development classes, data science classes, AI classes, and also the upskill classes for professionals who want to change their career and fix themselves into more of a digital expertise. Yep.
And what is the process like for creating a curriculum? How is it that you are able to decide on which projects are best applicable, or are able to what's the process like there?
We have our partners in the U.S. who they are the California Silicon Valley, so they're working on these like identify the updated skills in the new technologies to be embedded in the curriculum, but that is not enough. We have another group of ours, like I would call them CTOs, in educations, and they have to work together closely with the U.S. team to localize as well those content back into the Cambodia context. And I think some of the content is not, I mean, some of the curriculum that is already good there. When it's come to Cambodia, admittedly, some is already also too far. It's not that relevant to what the Cambodia context is. So we have to choose what is the priority. How can we localize the different relevance knowledge, and how can we find the different projects that match with the curriculum to our students to work on? Yep.
That's great. And what is the human capital like at Dichi? Do you have do you have professors or other professionals that were in the field that are leading these courses, or what is the current structure of it like for at the company?
So in our team, we have, of course, different expertise in different departments. But when it comes to the trainers, it's so we are training the industrial ready skills. So our trainers are all industrial professionals. Meaning they are at least having 10-year experience working in the fields, and and they are training the students on a part-time basis, while some of them are having their full-time job at the different corporates and companies. Not only the trainers in Cambodia. We have also trainers in Japan, in the US, where they teach virtual classes, and they also industrial professionals that works at those US, Japan's company, but wanting to like share their knowledge back to the next generation. So I would say our really human capital that is the core of Dichi Academy is our industrial trainers.
And you've been operating now for just about a year, right?
This is the second year. Yeah.
This is the second year. And what would you say some of the biggest challenges or surprises that you've had along the way, getting this to where it is now?
The most challenging part is actually to build our to build our trainers pool. As you know, we believe that industrial trainer is where it's give the most value in our current setup and curriculum to give the student the practical learning experience, but they don't have much time because they're also working on the different projects and their full-time job. So my challenge at the earlier stage is you're trying to match the time availability of our industrial trainers and with the students here. Secondly, I would say, I'll tell you a fail experience. When I first started this, we have our partners in the US and they are very successful, and the platform is built actually for self-learning. There's a lot of students got success through that platform, but then when we bring it to Cambodia and we adopt the same methodology as self-learning, it didn't work. So why it didn't work? We have different market testing with our different group of students, and the group of students that do self-learning, they find themselves very struggling. And the reason that they find themselves struggling is we see that in our culture, not just in Cambodia, in Asia, the way that we learn is a bit more passive, right? So it's when they already start to know that they want to be active, but there's still a skill gap in how to research, how to, like have your time management right, how to commit when you're in this self-learning journey. Because when they find a problem, they immediately want an answers. And that I think this is really something that makes self-learning is not that effective in Cambodia. Our culture from the beginning is not there yet in terms of trying to research and get the solution back to the problem so you can learn from it. So that is why we pilot ourselves to be more of a classroom. The industrial traders having the live sessions, but then they also have time after they learn the key knowledge. They have time to practice on the platform. So that's how I see we localize it in Cambodia, and that is the challenge because if self-learning works, the scalability is great. When self-learning doesn't work, when it's become a classroom setting, it's very hard to scale. Yeah, that's really our challenge right now.
Okay. And are there any particular topics or courses that people have really kind of where you've had a lot of popularity? What would you say are the top ones?
Data analytics for business.
For business, okay.
Yeah. So we have a lot of our students coming from different companies. They are already managers, head supervisors in marketing, in finance, in sales, in business development. And they are actually right now our pool of students in our data analytics class for business because they want to know how to use data to better understand their customers, their business, so that they know how to set the strategy to grow. But as a professional that is working right now, they don't have time to actually learn something that is too, technical. like like learn how to code and build a model for that. So it's more of how to use tool like Power BI, like All Studio, like Google Collabs, all of these ready available tools, but then you know how to plug in the different data so that you can see, visualize the data, the pattern, and then you can analyze it. This is our top and most popular classes right now. Whenever we open it, it's always full. Yeah.
And most of these people would be doing these classes on the weekends and evenings, right?
On the weekend.
On the weekend. And on all the companies generally pay for this, right? So you work with a company directly to like your business is mostly B2B, right?
We're doing B2B and B2B2C.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say 10% of our student in that data analytic for business is self-paid. The rest 90%, they want to enroll the classes and they claim it back from the companies
From the company, yeah.
to pay for this L&D part.
And how many other people are there in Cambodia doing this kind of stuff? I mean, I'm sure there's room for so many more people to be trying to focus on this and push forward the tech talent here. So do you consider the space that you're in crowded, or do you think there needs to be more players
There
out
needs
there?
to be more players. Like I think we are really at the transition point from like traditional academies
Yeah.
to a digital academy,
Yeah.
and I think you need a lot more people to push that transformation. And one of those key skill and key people is the technical talents. And that doesn't even include a lot of outsourcing projects that is actually pulling out from US and Europe or even Singapore to like developing countries. Like right now, Vietnam's got millions this kind of outsourcing projects. And Thailand also. And I believe Cambodia must be one too when we are ready. And that is where I talk to different, advisory people both in the government and in the private sectors. We cannot just focus on, like factory only, like before, like in clothes, in shoes, in manufacturing. This is important. But when the digital transformation is here, you have to also create, like a factories.
The robots are coming.
Yeah, factories of app development, a factory of
Yeah.
system development, so that this outsourcing project become the factories of
Right.
income for
Right.
our students, for our citizens, and for the countries.
Right, like I mean, sort of like what the Philippines has done. A lot of their BPO industry has gone crazy, and like you say, in Vietnam, there's a lot of remote developers, right, who are just working for big tech companies and such. I think it's an interesting space that the country should try and focus on because there are so many good remote developer roles, right? Like for example, Dom and I are just about to release someone on the podcast who's one of the main people in the Thailand like blockchain space. And actually, you see so many developers in that space that can live wherever they want and make a good income. So it'd be really interesting to see
Complete
that.
freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also want to add that developers, we also have different, like types of developers. And then of course when you want to work on something that is like in corporates, you have to have a degrees. But a lot of actually development stuff, it's a skills. You don't need a degree to be a good developer. And that is something that I believe, like in a lot of vocational training, that should be included in the future is really coding development. People can take 1-2 years going through the courses, and you just start to have more practice, more projects to do, and know how to manage those. Of course, with some learning commitment and techniques that different institution is offered. But I just really, really want to emphasize that good developers doesn't need a degree. It's a skill.
Yeah, as you say, it's really learned by
Doing.
doing.
It's a hard work, but it's a cool work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like too, it's you get to work on so many different projects and have that option too, which makes it exciting. So you can go and pick and choose what you want to do, more or less. Yeah, in our as we get into the last section of our podcast, what is maybe an untold truth that that you feel like you could share about, leading, like the challenges of what it's like leading a company or a startup or working in a startup that, maybe some people don't know about but are interested in wanting to join one?
Oh, so many challenges. Yeah, I mean, okay, what should I pick? Um, it's I think in the startup space, you just need to first have the right mindset that you will have a lot of failures along the way to learn from, but how you can really learn from those failures and react to it and keep developing the best model for yourself, because startup is you doing something new, and something new doesn't have a proven way of doing it. Yeah, so this trial and errors, mindset first of all. But second, with that mindset, it comes with costs. Comes with whenever it fails, it costs us money. Whenever it fails, it costs us energy, resources. So I would say my one of the challenges, not just me, I think, with a lot of startup, is how you can ensure enough financial capitals to like to learn this journey of trial and error before you can really get the best model of yourself. And it never have the best version, it's keep improving, but at least a sustainable model, the model that you can pilot out and start to generate incomes. But before that, you have to secure a financial resources for that. And I would say it's a bit more challenging in Cambodia to have that already available financial resources, plus knowledge, network, resources, which I mean investment, like investors. So early investors that comes in and give you this finance support, knowledge support, partner support, or even like growing you. I would say we have very limited option in Cambodia to look for. It's not that compared to China, compared to the U.S. Yeah, we are the startup has to really know people to get into investment. There's really not a public spaces just yet that is can really offer that to so many startup out there. I think that's a challenge, finding the right support. Third one is the team. So when you, like, for example, in my case, I need to find a lot of good developers, meaning they have really good experience in development. They know what the market is liking. Also, they know what can they offer. But at the same time, they have to have a business mindset, because right now you are not just there doing the coding. When you're starting up a company, I mean, my core team, they have to also be flexible with the different business strategies that we have to adopt to at the foundation of those technical curriculum and knowledges. So yeah, I would say first the mindset challenge. It's easy to say, but it's not as easy to do. Especially when coming out from backgrounds that you've been working in a management level, like having very good income already, and you have to give up all of those and start something new. I think this mindset is quite hard to adopt sometimes. Second is the financial and also knowledge partner resources, as the availability of startup that can be sick toward the investment. And thirdly is the team, the core team that you really need to build around you, so that you have all the different expertise to work on one problem to solve it. Yeah, I would say this is one among hundreds, the three things that I can think of immediately, and in short. But
No, I
at the
think those
same
are
time, oh, sorry to cut. At the
no,
same time,
no,
I think it's
please.
also very, very fascinating. When, for example, the challenges is also sometimes the opportunities, because so the first one, the mindset, right? But from a corporate to a startup, I would say even sometimes you have to face the feeling of uncomfortable, but you have a lot of resources from your corporate world that you can utilize. Secondly, investment. I would say yes. Maybe we don't have a lot of public resources that we can tap into, but Cambodia, Phnom Penh is small. Our network is really, like whenever you go to a coffee shop, you always have a friend to say hi to.
Yeah.
That's so
And
true.
what is good about that is when you build your reputation, when you build your credibility, this word of mouth in the community is very fast.
Yes.
So with that, it increase a lot of your chance to find your, angel investors, because people know each other quite well. It's so easy to check the references. And the third one, the team. Yeah, I think it's hard to find, but the thing about here in Cambodia as well, I think there's a lot of good people, a lot of people with knowledge, but they are lost in what they are doing. Really. So if we can really see what the expertise in each of the team that we're trying to find, and have that vision aligned with them, it's the technical skill of them is great. So I would say the third one is when we find a team. At least myself, I look into the hard skill, the technical skill first, and then secondly, when we have that foundation set, what are the aligned visions or support that we looking into each other, and how can we communicate and work with each other to achieve that one common goal. But yes, again, in Cambodia, the ecosystem is small. So I also, based on reference, based on, like word of mouth and connection, to identify my core team. Because, yeah, we know each other. A lot of people know each other. So, yes, challenge come with opportunities, challenge come with excitement.
Yeah, and I mean, great point, especially with it's a very small city, and if you have a little bit of ambition to go out there and really go for it, you have that opportunity to do it with how small of a network it is. So yeah. And our traditional closing question that we like to ask each of our guests is, what is the greatest piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Advice to whom? To
As in, like,
Either
if you,
yourself?
yeah, either yourself, either someone that's given it to you, or the advice that you give the most to other people.
focus, focus on what matters. So I keep saying this to myself, and I think I also share this to a lot of us, like people out there, just because we are surrounded by so many opportunities. We are surrounded by so many informations, and it's if 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 we don't focus right now on really what we want to achieve and reach, we can easily get distracted. And then it's a vicious circle of trying here a bit, trying here a bit, and trying here a bit, and then you never go far with one direction. So I think this is very dangerous, especially with the world of opportunities out here.
Yeah,
right?
you can't be a hobbypreneur.
Yeah. So yeah, to me, really stay focused on what you want to achieve, and give yourself like that timeline of solely focusing on that by not being distracted, to wanting to do a lot of things at the same time. I think that's the key to really being a big success if you can do it. Thank you.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, no, that's a great one to close out on. And so, Sivhuang, thank you so much for coming on and joining us today on Rising Giants. And it was really great to learn about your background and about Dichi Academy. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing your continued success.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. Thank you,
Thank you.
Max.